Mark is in your house. Okay. So Pesach is upon us. So I want to go through some of the order of what's going on in the next several days, and to make sure that we have everything clear and what we need to do and how we need to do it. Okay, because I don't think we went through this yet, and this is very important. So first of all, we need to sell our chametz. Can do that online. We've sent out emails, so you can get that also. Just give me one moment. It's warm over here. Like Herschel said, it's so nice out. We should probably doing this outdoors. Yes. So we need to sell our chametz, of course. Now, very important about selling chametz. Some of you might be familiar, but just to make sure we go over things properly, you're allowed to keep your chametz. Sold means that you don't own it during the 8 days of Pesach. If the non-Jew who bought it wants to come to your home and take the half a box of Cheerios that you might have in your home, it's his. He's not going to do it, but it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the one who purchased it, even though it's on your property. Now, on your property, you need to set aside everything. You should put it into a closet, put it into wherever you put it. You don't have to throw it away. You don't have to remove it from your home. You don't have to give it to a non-Jew. If it's sold, it's better to sell it than to give and think that you don't have any chametz in your home, because you might have things that you're not aware of that is chametz. There's products that are made with chametz that we wouldn't think of necessarily. Chametz does not mean only bread, doesn't mean only cake, it doesn't mean only the crackers that we might use. Chametz can be the vinegar, right? That has chometz in it. That is can be chametz stick and many other things. So very important to sell it. Then the things that are not Pesach stick, put into a cabinet and just put a piece of tape, something there as a sign for you that it's sold. You know that that's sold, but you want to have something as a siman, as a sign that you shouldn't forget that it is sold. So that's really very important, because not only are we not allowed to eat chametz on Pesach, but we're not allowed to own any chametz on Pesach. And if you inadvertently own it, not a good thing. Not a good thing. Okay, so that is with the sale of chametz. Again, sell it in your area to a rabbi. You can do it online, and you have to give, like in Chabad.org where you live, because it's going to be sold at different times. Because in Montreal, 11 o'clock, by the time it's sold at 11 o'clock, it's only 8 o'clock in California. So someone who's in California, there's just all those details. So you make sure you're selling it to the rabbi in, if it's on Chabad.org, you choose your area, and then it'll be sold through them in your area. So it's done properly. So that's with the sale of chametz. Of course, we can't use our utensils and things from the year that we use. A lot of people, they use throwaway stuff. That might be the easiest. If people have plates, then you use Pesach Dika plates and utensils and so on and so forth. All of it has to be just used for Pesach. And the reason you can't kosher anything, I wouldn't say you can't kosher anything, but it's very difficult. The koshering of things is because Pesach, unlike like if something became treif, right? You have a pot that became, it's a meat pot, but some milk got spilt into the pot when it was hot, and it now needs to be purged. So you can do that because the law is 60-1. It is 60-1. But Pesach, there is a little crumb. It's 1 to a million, and it's not nullified. It doesn't become nullified. So therefore, we're extra careful, extra stringent when it comes to when it comes to Pesach. So again, the best thing is probably so therefore the probably the best thing is to have separate things, and even we use disposable things. Obviously, for cooking, we use we have separate pots and pans for cooking, but we use disposable things because we don't have plates for Pesach. Okay, now the sale of chametz, make sure you do it by Thursday night, Friday morning, the latest. Now, Thursday morning is the fast. Oh, 1 second. David is asking what happens if we misplace chametz without our knowing. Well, you sold it. If you sell your chametz, so when you sell your chametz, you're selling that which is that and you don't know. You don't have to be aware of where the chametz. You have to know that you have the chametz and you place it aside, but it's being sold. So you don't. I mean, aside from that, we're going to speak about nullifying chametz. Okay, so that's a separate thing. We'll get to in a moment. I don't know if that's clear. Okay. Now, Thursday morning, for those who are firstborn, like me, firstborn male, is a fast day. We don't do it on Friday because Friday is Erev Shabbos, and just in case a person does end up fasting, it's not good to fast Erev Shabbos, leading into Shabbos. So therefore, it's been pushed back to Thursday. I mean, it would have been on Shabbos. You're not allowed to fast on Shabbos for this firstborn fast, so that we don't do it on Friday, so we do it on Thursday. What we do in order that we don't have to fast is we hear a siyum. A siyum means an ending of a particular tractate of Torah learning, and because of that, there's a festive meal, and you eat from that meal. You don't have to fast the rest of the day. So that is what has been set aside by the sages. This is what we do. We hear a siyum. If you are in a place that you don't have a siyum, I think Chabad.org has online, and if not, we have one in our synagogue, which will be around 8:15 Thursday morning, our Eastern Standard or Daylight Savings Time. So that's the siyum. Thursday night, we have the B'dikas Chametz. Search for the Chametz. Search for Chametz is for all Chametz that we didn't set aside. Chametz that we're going to eat for on Shabbos, which we're going to get to because there's a lot of details on how you're supposed to do this. It's a very unusual year this year that Shabbos falls out on Erev Pesach. It's an unusual setup, but what's important, we'll get into the importance of those details shortly. But Thursday night is the search for the chametz. Again, you're searching for chametz that you are not aware of. That might be like a chocolate bar that you kind of left over somewhere, and now you are, you left it in a drawer, or your kids left it in a drawer, and you didn't realize it. And there's a chametz chocolate bar. So this is what the search of the chametz. It's not checking the floor where you walk on, because that you see. It's more in the places where you wouldn't look. Now, of course, we clean before Pesach, before all of this, so it makes it so much easier. But but that being said, we still need to look into the corners, the places where we might not think to find chametz. Okay. Now, in that, the custom is, according to the Arizal, we take 10 pieces of real chametz and place them. And this is very careful. Make sure that one person places them and another person searches for them. So, for example, my wife, she places them, and I look for them. I don't know where they are, and I'm looking for them. Because if someone doesn't know where they are, and afterwards you only find 9, it's a bit of a problem. It's a bit of a problem. So you want to make sure you find them. So make sure someone knows exactly where they are, right? Even write it down, that you just don't commit it to memory so you don't forget. Now, we don't wrap it up in silver foil because this chametz is going to be burnt the following day. You wrap it up in not plastic, because plastic doesn't burn well. You wrap it in paper, either paper or paper towel or a napkin or something of that nature, but you want to wrap it in something that will burn. Now, don't then tape it up fully, because then the tape is, doesn't burn so well after, so you got to be careful. Maybe you can put a little piece of tape. You want to hold it so it doesn't open up the paper if that's necessary, but be careful how you do that. Okay, we place them, and then we take, the custom is this beautiful custom, and there's different ways to do this. Some people do it with the lights open, and they're searching with a candle. That's a custom, with a feather and a wooden spoon. You can buy these things as kits in your local Jewish place, right? And you're searching, and you put it back into the paper bag. After you find it, wrap it up, and so on. Now, we make a bracha. Very important. The person who's responsible for this, if it's the man of the house, whatever, that makes the bracha, everybody answers Amen. You have to search right away. Don't start talking about anything. Start searching right away, because you made a bracha al bir chametz, on the burning of the chametz, right? And you start looking and searching for the chametz. Again, as I mentioned, you're in the middle of the floor, you're not looking, because there is not what the mitzvah is. The mitzvah is for the places you may have overlooked, in the corners, right? And different places. Now, you did a lot of cleaning, so be very careful. And be very careful with the candle, because, I know somebody who looked under his bed, and the candle caught fire to the bed and burnt the room down. So be very careful. You don't want that to happen. That's called like being more than religious than necessary to burn down the house so you get every piece of chametz. Don't do that. All right. So some people do it with the lights off, and then they are searching with the lights off from the glow of the candle. Now remember, we've cleaned the house already, so you're not checking you're checking, but be careful. Like if you're going under the bed with a candle and so on and so forth, that you have to be very careful. This is for me, it's a beautiful custom, especially with kids. It's very memorable for the kids. They remember. Even today, I got kids that are older, and they're doing it with their kids. And we had a tune that we was in, that we would. Oh boy, it'll come to me. I just had it in my head. It was like this movement. Oh boy. Okay, it'll come to me. And the kids remember. It makes an indelible imprint upon them. You make it fun for the kids. And last year was just me and my wife. Still made it fun. But of course, there's a serious side that you're actually searching for chametz. Now, unlikely you're going to find chametz, because you did the cleaning, but this is the Jewish way. If there's a room that chametz never goes into, you don't have to check. You don't need to check. Like bathrooms. You don't bring chametz into the bathroom. No one's eating in the bathroom, right? But people eat in their bed. People, eat by a desk in a room or something like that. So those things you need to check. All right. Now, what you have found, make sure that you take and you wrap it up with a string so the 10 pieces won't fall out. And make sure that, especially if you have kids, that you put it out of reach from the kids, because you don't want the kids to, find it and start playing with it. The following day, Friday, we have to burn the chametz. Now, here in Montreal, we used to have a public burning by the yeshiva. We had the fire station was here, and the police came, to organize it. It's very nice that, that really the city gets involved and helps out with us doing this mitzvah. Which, by the way, just parenthetically, so Rebbe has pointed so many times, as that we live in a malchut shel chesed. We live in a society of kindness where the government is helping us do mitzvahs. You didn't have that under the communists in Russia. You didn't have that under the Tsar of Russia, that, the government was helping you to do a mitzvah. Here, being helped, but now with COVID, so there isn't a public burning of chametz, but there might be in your area, or it might be not helped by the city to do this, but it might be, by the way, they even give us garbage trucks, city garbage trucks that are there, but whatever chametz that you have left over, that you can bring and dump into the city, the dumpster. Sitting there for hours, from like 7 a.m. Friday morning until around noontime, when the end of the burning of the chametz. Okay, so there's a time limit that you can burn chametz to in Montreal. One second, let me give it the calendar over here. The last time to burn chametz is on Friday by 11:57, 3 minutes to 12. New York will be different. Texas will be different. They'll be around the same time, a half an hour earlier maybe, or maybe 20 minutes later, perhaps, something like that. But approximately the same time of burning the chametz. So that is Friday morning, again, by okay. Any questions so far? Well, New York is a difficult, very community chametz burning. We use our outdoor fire. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Thank you, Davida. Yes. What I do is take a silver foil pan, because remember, it's a small little package with, very little bread that's there that you're burning. So I take a silver foil pan, I go onto my balcony, and I put oil on it, olive oil, so it'll be soaked, and that way it'll burn. And then I throw in a match. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that we say kol. We don't say kol chamera. We don't. Let me back up. Thursday night, by the search of the chametz, we have to say the phrase that we are nullifying all of the chametz that we don't know of. I'm making it like dust of the earth, ownerless. If there's something there that's in my property and I don't know about, it's ownerless. That's on what I don't know. What I do know, I'm not making ownerless because I still want to use it, as we will use some chametz on Shabbos, because Shabbos we have to eat challah, right? Which we'll get to shortly. So I'm sorry, I forgot to mention Thursday night. So we say kol chamira after the blessing of denouncing or announcing that all chametz that I don't know, it's like dust of the earth, doesn't belong to me. Friday, when I burn it, I don't say anything, because there you're saying even, that which I know, don't, and I do know, because at that point, you still can eat chametz. You're burning the chametz, so you can still eat chametz. So we don't say kol chamira. We don't make the phrase a statement of announcing everything that I don't know and do know, that I'm aware of, not aware of. We don't say that then. We say that actually on Shabbos. So we'll get to. But we do say the Yehi Ratzon. There's a prayer. We do say the prayer, because the prayer is about the burning, and that the burning is burning all negativities. And it's a spiritual prayer, or a mystical prayer. Okay, sorry, I forgot that. Yeah, so that's Friday. Now, Friday is the day you're going to prepare everything, not just for Shabbos, but you're going to prepare everything for Yom Tov. The neck bone you have to roast on that day. Yeah, I have to, check your lettuce to make sure that it's clean. That it's clean. From potentially any bugs. Yeah, if you're making from fresh horseradish, you have to grind your fresh horseradish on Friday. If you're using that for maror, if you are eating Shabbos in a different place than where you're going to eat your Pesach Seder, you can set up your table for Pesach on Friday if you're not eating Shabbos there. Right? If you're eating Shabbos, like for me, I'm going to be eating in our, we have a Passover kitchen upstairs. We have a duplex that was converted into one family. So the upstairs kitchen is now our Pesach kitchen for many years. The downstairs kitchen is our chametz kitchen. We're going to eat there on Shabbos, and in the dining room we're going to eat there Pesach. So we can set up the table already for Pesach, because Pesach you can't prepare from Shabbos to Pesach. You can prepare on Friday though to set up for Pesach if where you're going to make your Pesach Seder is not where you're going to eat your Shabbos meal. If it's the same place, so then no, you're not going to set up for. You're going to set up for Shabbos, but not for Pesach. But for Pesach, again, you have to make all your preparations that you can beforehand. That when Pesach comes in Saturday night after Shabbos, you have everything ready to go, so you can really dive into the Seder, and particularly because it does start late. It starts here 2 minutes after 8 is the earliest you can start your Pesach Seder. New York is probably like 7:45, something like that. I don't know what Texas and St. Martin and any other place, but the Seder has to start at nighttime. So again, all the preparations that you can make, do it on Friday for Shabbos, obviously, and even for Pesach. Friday night is a regular Shabbos. I mean, regular in the sense. New York at 7:56. Okay, thank you. Oh, not much of a difference in Montreal. A few minutes, 5-minute difference. So Shabbos is regular Shabbos, meaning that we have regular meals and we have to make a motzi. We're not allowed to eat matzah because you have to eat matzah only on Pesach, right? So you have to eat chametz that you've had prepared. Now try to prepare only the amount that you need to eat. Whatever extra you have to flush down the toilet the following day on Shabbos day. But let's get to Friday night. So again, if you have 2 different places where you're eating, so let's say you're eating in one place your chametz, you're eating there, you make kiddush. Now for kiddush, you could either use a chametz goblet and then put it back afterwards. You could use a Pesach one. You have to be very careful that no chametz comes in contact with it. Or you could use a plastic throwaway one for the kiddush. Whatever works. Excuse me. Now, you make kiddush, you make hamotzi. Oh, 1 second, I think I saw a question there. Is the existing light that we use for Yom Tov, is it after Shabbos or before Pesach? Before Shabbos light, thank you for mentioning that. Thank you. Who was that, Davida? Thank you. Yes, we should light if we have a 72-hour candle, great, or a 48-hour candle, minimally a 24-hour candle. So then, but not necessarily will it last from Friday till after Shabbos. Shabbos, you're not allowed to use a fire, of course, but on Yom Tov, you're allowed to. So Saturday night, you could use a flame. You can cook on Yom Tov, right? You can carry on Yom Tov. So if you have a pre-existing flame, so you take from that and light, and you can light from that your your Yom Tov candles. Yom Tov candles in New York are after 7:56, not before that, right? On Erev Shabbos on Friday, we light before Shabbos because it's a mundane day. But from Shabbos to Yom Tov, we can't light because it's a Shabbos is a holy day, and it's actually even holier than a holiday. Shabbos is even a holier day than a Yom Tov. So for sure you can't light from Shabbos to Yom Tov, but on Yom Tov itself you could light. So we wait until after nightfall, 7:56 in New York, 8:02 in Montreal, and women light their Yom Tov candles. Make a bracha Yom Tov of Pesach and for a Shechianu are the brachas that you make. Shel Yom Tov, yeah. Now, getting back to the meal on Shabbos, so the food that you're eating has to be Pesachdik. You can't cook food in your chametz kitchen because there's going to be problems with that. With, is there chametz there, not chametz there? Whether you can't throw out chametz on Shabbos. The reason is because that chametz belongs to you, and you're not allowed to own chametz. You're not going to flush it down the toilet. Now, a few pieces of crumbs, a few pieces of bread, you could throw down a toilet. But food that was cooked in chametz oven and chametz pots can be problematic. It might be even chametz products there. So all the food that we eat is Pesachdik on Shabbos, right? Except for the challah that we eat. I suggest you eat pita. That's what I'm going to eat, is pita, because pita doesn't make crumbs. Pita doesn't make crumbs. A challah roll, oh my gosh, full of crumbs. And who wants to start with the crumbs and picking? Because literally every crumb you have to pick up on the floor, on you, and you have to flush it down the toilet. Remember that the prohibition on Pesach is what we call a kol shehu, or any little bit, 1 in a million, one particle of a million is a prohibition. When it comes to meat, milk, 1 in 60. Here's 1 in a million, 1 in a trillion. So any little speck needs to be thrown out. So with a challah roll, it's definitely going to be a challenge. So if you can get pita, that would be the best thing. And again, don't have enough that for you to eat. You'll have maybe a little left over, and the crumbs, and together whatever is left over need to be flushed down the toilet. Rip it into smaller pieces so it flushes easier. Do not throw it in the garbage, and think by taking it in the garbage and then taking it outside that's okay. It's not okay. First of all, Shabbos to do that, and secondly, it's yours. Even if you're going to throw it away on, you have an A-roof and you're going to walk outside and you're going to put it in someone else's property or into the bin of the local supermarket. No, that's not sufficient. That's not good. It needs to be, we burn it on Friday, but on Shabbos, obviously, you're not going to burn it, so you put it down the toilet. So that's why we have to be very careful. Okay, so that's Friday night making Kiddush. Shabbos by day, an unusual thing's going to happen. All from shuls, they're going to daven very early. Our davening is at 7 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because you can only eat chametz until 10:26 in Montreal. Make sure I got that right. No, 10:52. Sorry. Till 10:52, you can eat chametz on Shabbos. Right? So that means you got to daven early. So you can come home, make kiddush, eat your chametz, clean the place of the chametz, dump it, and then then we do say kol chamira on Shabbos, disavowing anything that might be left over of the chametz, that it is considered like dust of the earth. And that we have to nullify the chametz until 11:56, 4 minutes to 12. That's Montreal time. New York, it's going to be a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes earlier. Okay, based on what the video you gave me. Now you can, very important, when you make Kiddush, now these are halachas of Kiddush to fulfill the mitzvah. It's called Kiddush b'makom suda. You have to make the Kiddush and have the festive meal in the same place. So you might want to make Kiddush in one room because it's Pesach Dik, but then you want to come into a corner in another place and eat your chametz, to eat your, the pita or whatever, and, separated from the other place where you're going to eat your Pesach Dik food afterwards. So that's a bit of an issue because you need to be able, where you made your Kiddush in that room, it doesn't have to be the same chair. You can move around into another corner in that room. But in that room where you made Kiddush, you need to make your hamotzi. That's the halacha. That's halacha of Shabbos, of making Kiddush. Kiddush b'makom, in the place of the suda of the festive meal. Now, a way you can get around that, to fulfill that, is if you, but it's not so simple, is that you make Kiddush, and then you can drink another 3 ounces of wine, or a woman can drink 3 ounces of grape juice, and that's called Kiddush and making the festive meal in its place, because you had another revi'is, 3.1 ounces of wine or grape juice in that same place. That's called like you made your meal, right? Now, if you really are, some people are very concerned about that chametz and they don't want to be at the same table with the chametz and the rest of the meal that's Pesach dik. So you could make Kiddush, you can have your hamotzi, and then bench in that place, and then move somewhere else, or eat later, because this is early. You don't want to eat you don't want to eat now fish with salads and whatever else you're going to eat, right? So you eat, you have your hamotzi, you clean up, throw away everything, bench, and then afterwards you can have your meal. Right? Even though the meal is supposed to be part of, the suda of eating. Okay, in this circumstance, this is something that can be done, right? In this circumstance, to fulfill the obligation of having the meal, the Kiddush and the meal together, and because of its Erev Pesach and that sensitivity that we have to the chametz, and that might work out better for you. So do that. What else from that? Any questions on that? Why do some people dip matzah in grape juice for Saturday morning Kiddush? I never heard of such a thing. We don't. Chabad custom and many Hasidim and others do not wet their matzah. That's called gebrux. And because there might be a part of the matzah that's not fully baked, and therefore when it touches any kind of liquid, the baking process or not the baking process, the fermenting process continues, and it's a very unlikely thing to happen. But as we mentioned, 1 in a million is also called chametz, so therefore we're uber careful, and the custom is not to wet the matzah. Now, what this is, I have no idea, but you shouldn't be eating matzah on Saturday morning. It's Erev Pesach. Yeah, you need to come to Pesach eager to eat matzah. If you ate it Shabbos morning before Pesach, it's going to take away from the mitzvah. So you're not supposed to. Now, by the way, children, what are you going to feed them? They don't want bread maybe, or like Shabbos afternoon till Pesach comes. You have a 3-year-old, they have nothing to eat, you can give them matzah. 3-year-old is not what we're talking about here. But if it's a 10-year-old, even an 8-year-old that understands that tonight we're going to be eating matzah and it's a mitzvah, don't give them matzah. By the way, one of the things we do, we don't we personally don't use processed foods. Everything is like, like matzah meal and all these kind of things. Everything is like very fresh and original. Just again for the mitzvah to make sure that you don't have to do that. You can buy products that have a hechsher, have a hechsher for Pesach, 100%. Now, important when it comes to the products and things, be careful. If you're Ashkenazi, you don't eat kitnias, which are legumes and the like. We don't eat that. So be careful because you might find something kosher Pesach, but if it says kitniut, then it's the Sephardic custom that they use that. Not all Sephardim do that, but many do, and therefore be careful. So, for example, like peanuts, we don't use peanuts, we don't use rice, and the like. Yeah, very important with to make sure everything is kosher Pesach that you're purchasing. Forgot to mention that in your preparations, of course. What else was there? So the beautiful thing of the way Pesach is this year, I don't know about you, but for me, when I come to the Pesach Seder, I need God's compassion. I'm so tired because you work so hard in the preparation. My wife gives me the privilege of to grate the horseradish. That brings me to tears. And all the other things that you do in preparation for Pesach, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and you come very tired. This year, all that work is going to be done on Friday. Then when you come to Shabbos afternoon, you eating a meal before before what was it 10 here? It's before 10:52. You have to finish your chametz. Okay, you can continue your meal after that. Getting rid of the chametz, but you got a whole afternoon. You can rest. You can relax. You can read from the Haggadah, which is actually a custom Shabbos afternoon after Mincha. We say the Haggadah, and you can come to the Pesach Seder. Rested. It's machaya as a result. So those are the basic laws of Shabbos, which is Erev Pesach, and the things how we need to proceed. Any questions on that? Havdalah, okay. 1 second. Irma is asking, is it allowed to eat matzah after the Pesach week? After Pesach, yes. The custom is 30 after Purim, 30 days before Pesach, we don't eat matzah. That's a custom. But definitely, even if you wait during the 30 days matzah, on the eve of Pesach, you don't eat matzah. That for sure. You don't do. After Pesach, of course. I eat matzah. I had matzah. I think it was the Shabbos before Purim. Leftover matzah from last year. Leftover matzah from last year. I think it was the Shabbos right before Purim, because I was from Purim on, or after Purim, you don't have matzah. So I had then, and I enjoy matzah. I enjoy it. So yeah, absolutely you could. Obviously, it's not a mitzvah to eat matzah then, right? The only mitzvah that it will be with matzah is that if you're having it part of your Shabbos meal and it happens to be a whole matzah, that you can use it from lechem mishnah for for the double portion, to remember the lechem mishnah that was given in the desert of manna. But otherwise, yeah, by all means. Liba is asking for Havdalah on the last night. It's only over wine. Correct. So we actually this year, we're going to make Havdalah by the Seder, but it's going to be part of the Kiddush. And in the Kiddush, there's a Havdalah part. In the Havdalah, we thank God between making the difference between holy and profane, and between holy and holy, because here is holy and holy, right? From Shabbos to Pesach is holy to holy. But there's still, and even that there's a distinction. Havdalah meaning distinction, right? So you're making that bracha on the first cup of wine by the Seder. We don't use besamim because of the possibility that came in contact with chametz, meaning the spices that we usually use. But we do look at the Shabbos candles, or if there's a 24-hour candle that you have, we look at that when we make the bracha al Borei Morei Ha'esh, on the creator of the light of the fire, that we make on Havdalah. And we look at the flame. We don't usually you look at your fingernails and on Motzei Shabbos when you make Havdalah, but here it's in the middle of Kiddush, so you don't do that. But you look at the candles, make sure there's a candle that you could see. So that is right. And then, of course, at the end of Pesach, you also make Havdalah, but the end of Pesach is Monday night. Sunday night. I'm sorry. Sunday night. Pesach ends in Montreal, 8:12. In New York, it's going to be 8:07, probably, something like that. It's going to end, I don't know, in Texas or St. Martin. You have to look at your calendar. And then you make Havdalah then, only over wine, exactly. Any other questions? What else is there from? I'm just thinking. Just a reminder that very important for the Pesach Seder, if you can, a whole Pesach, but for sure for the Seder, shmura, hand-baked shmura matzah, very important. Everybody get that, have that, in order to do the Pesach Seder, in the optimum way. This is guarded, special hand-baked matzah. This is the way to do it, definitely by the Seder, and preferably even for a whole Pesach. We're going to get more into that. Pesach matzah is the bread of is the bread of faith. It's the bread of healing. We'll discuss a little more of that later, another time, or next time maybe. What else was there? Oh, and another reminder, please. I know that for some people this is a very big challenge, especially if you're dealing with people who are not observant and are not committed to halacha. And that is that the Seder can only start at nightfall. You can't even make preparations beforehand, as I mentioned, because from Shabbos to Pesach, to make a preparation is profaning Shabbos, the holiness of Shabbos. It's not a transgression of biblical proportion, but it is a transgression of rabbinic law, of you using Shabbos out for Pesach. So you have to wait till Shabbos is over. Again, here it's 8:02. In New York, it's 7:56. And then do whatever you need to set up. But starting, with Kiddush and the Haggadah and eating matzah, has to all be done after nightfall. Very important, very, very important. If you're in a place, just to conclude this today, but my kids have all gone to Russia to make seders there in different Russian communities where there isn't a Chabad house. Over the years, they've gone. Some of them have gone to places that now there is a Chabad house, but when they first went, there wasn't. And when you're dealing with Jews living in Russia who are under the communists for 70 years, where Jewish observance is like, forget about the fact that they are not observant. They don't have an awareness of it, right? Because all of Judaism was underground, and unless you went looking for it underground, right, you very little Jewish connection you had, right? So for you, what is Pesach, and for the truth is a lot of North Americans is this way too. It's just an excuse to get the family together and have a nice meal together, and and share together some traditions and some non-traditions, right? Like eating 6 o'clock dinner, when it's still daylight on Shabbos. So there is a method on how you can do things like invite people. As my kids, when they went to Russia, they invited people earlier, because to invite them to come 8 o'clock at night, they're not going to come. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And you may have people that you might be inviting. Here in Montreal, we can't do that, but in the States, things are much more open. So what are you going to do? So you can invite people earlier, and certain things you could kind of share with them from the Haggadah that are not essential. Eating matzah, not. Drinking a cup of wine, not. Right? But if you're in a position that you must start earlier because of otherwise people are just not coming, so have them come earlier. Speak to me about the exact things that you could and can't do, and you can read from the Haggadah. Certain elements, and then later when it comes to nightfall, you could first of all yourself reread them privately. You don't have to say anything to the people, right? That they should feel embarrassed in any way. And you'll do the major things of the Haggadah, because the narrative, which takes the longest part, there are parts that you can't, if you leave out. I mean, I'm not telling you, you shouldn't leave it out. You're dedicated. But if you're in a position with people who are not dedicated, you can leave out certain things for them and do the main parts of the Haggadah, so they do the mitzvah. Because remember, there's a tension here. There's the attention span of these people who are not as interested as you are. And then there is what Jewish law says that we need to do. And you want to make sure that you can, balance the two. So there is a way. There is a way. And you don't eat anything of the 4 cups. So you could feed them before too. They should come hungry to the Seder. No. That's important, but secondary to them being there and fulfilling the mitzvah. And the most important mitzvah, of course, of hearing part of the story and eating matzah. That's all they got, is that you said, tomorrow we'll go through some of the essential things that you need to share if you're in that position. Right? My Seder, I say, everybody now, you got to pay attention. If you were, daydreaming till now, don't daydream now, because this is the essential. And you go through that, and you can feed them gefilte fish beforehand. You can feed them matzo ball soup if you make matzo ball soup. You can, or just you can feed them some chicken. Let them be full even. Big deal. Big deal. You shouldn't come full. Okay, you're right. You come hungry. But for them who don't appreciate, what it means to go through a Seder and to do it at the right time, so you do those things beforehand. Then you come at nightfall, 8:02 here, or 7:56 in New York, whatever time it is elsewhere. Now you can dive right into, things, and need be skip the things. You shouldn't skip the things because you should say them, but you could, if you just say them quickly. That's fine. My wife, she's checking things in the kitchen to make sure things are right. So she's but part of the time she's just saying it quickly on her own. Why? Because she's got to take care of other things. So you can quickly say it. And when it comes to the important things, that, gain everybody's attention. Is that clear? So our relatives in Russia made Aliyah in Israel many years ago. They were not educated with Jewish observance in Russia. Tiskul mitzvahs to their children, yeah. Is a Gentile allowed to attend a Seder? Good question. We're not on show. It's not a show. This is not Saturday Night Live, right? This year, Saturday Night Live, it's going to be. It's not Saturday Night Live. It's not a show for people. It's an intimate setting for Jewish people. If there's a non-Jew that is converting to Judaism, right? That's one thing. If it's a non-Jew who's married to a Jew, and the only way the Jew's coming is because of his non-Jewish spouse, that's another thing. But to have someone who isn't Jewish, just like, come and come for the experience. That's not a time to come for an experience. Now, sometimes it's happened. I've had such instances that it happened. It's not, it's not the end of the world. If someone happened to come that way, because a friend brought it, I thought it'd be okay if I brought my friend, okay, it's not the end of the world. Although in halacha there is about, I'm going to get into the details about having a non-Jew for Yom Tov. It's problematic because of cooking and this and that, but again, it's not an experience. Pesach is not an experience. I'm sure we'll have a great experience, but that's not what it is. It's a divine connection. It's a mitzvah. It's my personal exodus together with my people, their exodus. So, bearing that in mind, Shabbos, by the way, is not the same. Shabbos and non-Jew is a different thing. That is different to invite a non-Jew for Shabbos. Yom Tov in particular is the question from a halachic perspective. So, that's okay. So a nephew is living with someone who isn't Jewish. Yeah. So listen, your nephew came because of that. If your nephew would come otherwise, so that's one thing. But if he's not going to come, most important thing is that that every Jew be there. And sometimes that's the only way the Jew is going to come. Now, if that person is someone that they are either married to or might get married to, and this is a way that maybe that will encourage them to convert, if that's what's going to happen, so then that's also a consideration, right? But the consideration is the Jewishness over here, as opposed to coming come for an experience. All right, any other questions? Whoa, I threw a lot today over my allotted time. Irma, clear? Davida, Linda, Liba, Richard, Abigail, and Tim, we're good. All right. Yeah, important things that we can make sure that we observe things. Because we want to go out of Egypt. We want to bring Mashiach. Linda, you look great in a mask. But I believe without the mask, even better. But, I see you're in a public domain, so keep safe. Yeah. All right, beautiful. All right, thank you, folks. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Bye.
Thank you. Be well.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.